Let's compare the brand new Waves SSL4000e EV2 channel with the Brainworx 4000e and find out which one performs best. We'll start with something simple, and that is just inserting the plugin on every channel in default and compare the sound like that on the entire mix. And I'll cut between the two plugins for you to compare. First of all, the sound is very close to each other. The Waves sound a tad more tame and the Brainworx a bit more energetic. Now I have a hunch this is due to loudness, so let's do a loudness test. This is interesting. The Waves EV2s have the same loudness as the raw files, and the Brainworx are a tad louder. This is a bit sneaky, and it may appear that the SSL4000es are a bit better. So I'll reduce the loudness for the Brainworx and compare again. I have basically the opposite conclusion now. The Brainworx sounds a bit more evened out, where the Waves sound more lively. Funny how 0.3 of a decibel can skew your perception. Now let's bypass the plugins in comparison with the raw audio to see how that sounds. The Brainworx is adjusted for loudness, so let's start with that. There's a slight increase in mid-range push with the Brainworx like this. And let's check the Waves. Also, there's a tiny increase in the mid-range push, but less than with the Brainworx. So both plugins have a bit of a mid-range push, but in both cases you can easily miss it. Let's focus now on the EQ. The Waves has the advantage to solo the adjustments you do, which can be really helpful in fine-tuning. Now let's A/B the high shelf in this case. Both have been maxed out to really hear the difference, and I have sent the entire mix to two separate buses. One with the Brainworx, the other with the Waves. The Brainworx sound more aggressive than the Waves. Let me adjust the gain boost of the Brainworx to see if that makes a difference. As you can hear, if I reduce the gain boost a bit, they sound way more similar, and the Waves shelf boost sounds a bit broader and the Brainworx a bit steeper. So the shelf curves aren't exactly the same and the gain boost isn't either. Let's do a quick bell check at 10 kHz. With Waves you can manually type in the frequency and the Brainworx can't. Bonus point for the Waves. This sounds really different. The Brainworx is way more aggressive here. Let's adjust the Brainworx plugin to match the Waves. Still different. the waves sound like its bandwidth or Q is tighter, and the Brainworx sound like it uses a broader Q. Let's do a 5 kHz bell test now. Again, very different. The Waves EV2 sounds more fizzy, where the Brainworx gives more oomph. Let's check with white noise what is going on. You can see that the Waves centers its boost around 5 kHz like it should. The Brainworx has its peak lower, which is strange. So let's lower the Waves frequency and check what happens. I have it around 4.5 kHz and it matches. The Brainworx has something weird going on here. Also, there's a slight difference in the stereo image between the two. And you can hear that the Waves EV2 keeps the original stereo image more intact at this frequency boost. Let's find out if there's a difference with the lower bands as well. Yeah, there are. So let's match the Brainworx with the Waves. There are differences in gain, frequencies and Q settings, although they have the same markings and are based on the same channel strip. I can match the Brainworx plugin to Waves. These differences make that comparing easily gets biased one way or the other. And if I recall, it was reported on forums that the Brainworx did not have correct frequency dials. This right here results that the Waves might at first hand sound more fizzy, but that is because the Brainworx has its frequencies incorrectly lower in the frequency spectrum. So you really need to dial that in properly, and for me that is an issue. I prefer correct behavior. I will not test EQ any further because the differences are very clear. Sound-wise you could hear that they are really similar, you can match both to each other. If you have some other findings, let me know in the comments below. Let's compare the compressor on these drums. First, let's crank them and start around with a ratio of 20:1 to hear that compression working on both. The plugins are loudness matched. Like this, the Brainworx chokes the drums a bit. I prefer how the Waves sound. Let's lower to a ratio of 5:1. This is closer to each other, I still slightly prefer the Waves. And let's reduce the release times. Like this, I prefer the Brainworx, especially how the one tom now sounds full-bodied and has more oomph. So the settings do matter. Here's the full mix with the same settings of course and a ratio of 3:1. The Brainworx makes the audio louder and increases the audio with that, where the Waves leaves the original balance more intact and retains its loudness. On a master bus, the behavior of the Waves EV2 is something I would prefer. The preamps can also influence the sound. The Waves EV2 can drive into saturation much more and easier than the Brainworx due to the mic drive. Let's check the line gain of both. I still slightly prefer the sound of the Waves line drive. It's a bit more ballsy and even sounding. And now both plugins have their own set of additional controls. I really like the high pass filter and mix control of the compressor on the Brainworx plugin. That helps getting the compression to work better. And on the Waves, the monitoring option for the EQ is a big win. And the Waves stereo version also has stereo width controls, which are an asset. Both plugins offer variable routing options and the choice between the brown and black type of EQs, which sound slightly different. Downside is that Waves uses a special mono and stereo version, so you need to pick the right one where the Brainworx plugin will adjust to be mono or stereo by itself. The dials on the Waves plugin cannot reset by double clicking or shift command, which the Brainworx can, but the Waves enables manual input, which the Brainworx can't. So which one comes out as a winner? For me, on the audio I tested, it's the Waves. First of all, I was put off by the weird EQ behavior of the Brainworx plugin, and I want correct behavior. Sound-wise, I can match the Waves EQ easily to the Brainworx EQ, and also the other way around. The compressor of the Brainworx at shorter release settings with lower ratios sounds a tad better than the Waves. Although the Waves can match again and holds up better at higher compression rates, and also on a full mix the Waves kept the original audio more intact. The drive of the preamp was a clear win for the Waves EV2. So these are SSL4000e emulation plugins. What is the difference between an SSL4000e, 4000G and 9000J? In the video displayed on screen I will show you the differences with 3 Brainworx plugins.